this. Is there anything you want the fans to know or any last thing you want to say to them before we get to see this series tonight?
This is where the fun begins.
Hold on. Okay.
Hey everyone, Jenna Mike here, and I'm back with another video. Hope everybody can hear me. Am I sounding good, y'all? Making sure I sound good. Let's see. My mic is good. Cool. Y'all hear me? Y'all see me? Great. Yeah, welcome to Jenna Mike's Up Movie News Show. Sorry there's been a delay today. Me and my wife went to go visit our parents today and everything, but the show still go on. I literally just got back from a 3.5 hour drive. So yeah, I am still trying to keep this consistency. More importantly, give you guys all the updates that's going on in the world of movies. And today I got a very, very special guest here today. Not only is he, fellow black nerd and everything like that, he's also a proud fraternity brother, one of the best fraternities in the Divine Nine, and that is Mr. Black Wing. How you doing,
What's going on, frat?
What's going on, man? Yeah, man. No, first of all, if guys you'll know who Blackwing is, he also is another content creator who's finally coming back after short hiatus, and for well noted for reasons why. And but now he's back in. He's also a content creator, does a lot of reviews and commentary on DC animated series such as Superman anime series, Batman anime series, and others, and do a very good deep dive on that. So make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. I think moderators, you can put a link to his channel in the chat. Make sure we show him some report. But hey, man, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I mean, I know you. It's okay that you decided to do it so late. I know because I got church in the morning, but I'll pop in first.
Same here. Same here. I'm like, I still got some stuff to do. I'm like, all right, listen, we're just getting through this and stuff. We'll do a cutoff, but there's a lot of stuff that happened this week. A lot of stuff happened this week. So but yeah, so just moving forward again, just remind you guys, we do have a live show twice a week. One will be on Monday with Jay King, and then Saturdays with myself and possibly with others. It was talking to back chat and everything, but yeah, and we'll be having consistency in terms of giving you guys everything related to the world of movies and shows and all things in geek and nerd culture, all stuff in film and media and everything. This week has been very, very busy. A lot of things. Prayer has been answered, and it's also Monday. We still make sure we have our prayers lifted so way we can hopefully have this entire film industry go back get back to the grind. So so starting off with the first topic here, because of the writer strike and everything, we have a lot of projects that have now going back in production, or at least in the writing boards. Not in terms of film production, but we're going to be discussing that right now. But even though there have been a lot of things that have been delayed, there has been still shows that are still coming out, especially pertaining to Marvel. We got Loki coming out this week. The episode, I think the first two episodes, I believe, right? On
I think so.
Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday at 9 p.m. But before we even get to the world of Marvel, we have to get into the world of the boys. So, for those of you guys have not known, there was a spinoff that came a spinoff series that was announced about a year or two ago. That they were in development of a spinoff show called Gen V, and we actually got the first three episodes. First three episodes this past actually Thursday. It's supposed to come out Friday, but we got it in early. And I had the privilege of watching the first four episodes, and you see the other two, but it's 9 episodes in total. And they were able to reveal the first three. And I gotta tell y'all, just from someone who was a college student and everything, this show has delivered in all cylinders, and I was very, very surprised. But I just want to ask you, Blackwing, have you seen Gen V yet?
So don't don't throw your tomatoes or your stones at me. I haven't watched The Boys or any of the shows just as of yet or now, cuz I remember when the trailer for The Boys first, like, for the first season came out. I was like, "Oh, a superhero show. What is this? This looks interesting." And I just never got around to watching it. Same thing with Invincible. Like, I actually genuinely really want to start watching Invincible, and also want to start reading the Invincible comics as well. But I don't know, it's just The Boys was something that, like, I just it wasn't really on my radar. I knew about it, but I just really never came around to watching it. But I get how it's well known. I know how much of a heavy topic Homelander's being talked about, and I'm hearing I just hear a lot of good things about The Boys, how it's really just like a phenomenal show. I just haven't really got around to watching it.
Yeah,
So
this is a fantastic show. Again, this is a diversion of what the original of the actual boys show, because right now we do have season 4 that's already in production, already coming out. But this show is actually a continuation of that story, but on a distant off a shoot of what's of the current main storyline, right? And this is called Gen V, as in Bot, which is the company that supply all these superheroes and everything with powers and stuff like that. Now this is more of a college type of story, and this is giving more of a Sky High, more rated R Sky High feel. Y'all are old enough to remember that. Points to you.
I love that
Um,
movie.
yeah. So, but here's my review of Gen V. I did do a review on Team JVS, and we'll be posting that probably tomorrow. Yeah, there's just a lot of things I have up in editing boards and everything. But for one, I just want to say, in terms of the writing of this show, these are very different characters that you don't know. These are teenagers or young adults going into college, and everyone has their own motive in terms of why they're there. But they highlight some of the traditional tropes that people, when college students go for college. One, for people who are in legacy, like their parents went to that and they were first generation college student or something like that. Or they're trying to get basically graduate so they can actually and be top rank in their class, so they can able to get into the 7, right, with Homelander and everybody, right? But the more beautiful thing about this show is that this show actually dives in more into the mental health aspect of these young adults, and
Mm.
in a very creative way, because their powers are somehow tied to their mental health, storylines and everything. Like, for example, no, not well. I can say it's not a spoiler or anything. You have characters who deal with having self harm. There's one character, Marie, who she has the power for blood and everything, right? And but she has to keep cutting herself so way that she's able to use her powers of blood and everything. But in the same time, she also deals with depression. Hence, with that, you also have her roommate. I think her name is Amy. If I'm not sure. I probably get the names wrong. But her roommate is basically a character like Ant-Man or like Termite from the previous season of The Boys, right? Who she can shrink, but however, how she shrink is more of an Alice in Wonderland type of thing, where uh, that if she eats food, whatever, then she gets big, right? But then if let's see, she purges, then she's able to shrink. So she has an eating disorder, and I think she's bulimic, but definitely eating disorder, but where she has to basically purge to um and to actually able to shrink her size and everything, which is a very, very graphic scene that you see here. You see characters dealing with transgenderism, like for the character Jordan, which is the uh, character right here, and these two, right? And they're not twins; they're literally the same person. In this picture, they're not twins. So this is actually the same individual. In fact, but Jordan is transgender, but his power is that he basically can switch into to a girl. However, his he has two different powers when he's a guy and when he's a girl. So basically, it's like Wonder Twins, but they're the same person. Um, yeah. So and deal with the a very unique way of dealing with transgender. Like it is the same person, but they are who they are. But again, as they change into a different sex, they're they have different abilities, which is interesting, right? You have another character who basically is like a rip off of the Human Torch and everything, but he's the Golden Child, hence Golden Boy. Each of these characters is very distinct, right? But again, they're all basically here trying to prove themselves and dealing with their own traumas, their own situations, and everything like that. And I appreciate them for tackling these serious storylines. Especially now and never, mental health is a topic today, but unlike some other shows like Euphoria, where they do have some very good storylines in there, and especially when Zendaya, her performance in that show is fantastic. However, in that atmosphere of a high school setting, some of the things in there are really unrealistic, right? And very overly sexualized and stuff like that. But and then for some audience, they think that okay, well, this show really isn't relatable. But Gen V, aside from the superpowers, is very relatable because rooted in terms of the characters and what they're going through, dealing with roommate situation, dealing with trying to get into a class or trying to prove themselves in their ranking, i.e., their GPA. Right. So, and the stresses of that, like, I'm not number one, but I'm number 5. I need to be number 1. Right. And while also uncovering a mystery that's going on at that school itself. Right. So it's very, very complex, just like with the boys show, season 3, season 2, season 1, and they're very, very consistent in terms of having quality within these storylines just in these first 3 episodes. And I'm telling you, in each episode progresses. You don't want to miss it. Yes, this is graphic. This is not the show's not made for kids, and also for not for the boys either. But I gotta say again, I really am happy that they actually have a new show for us to actually to dive into before we get into The Boys season 4, which is still coming. And this show is right between season 3 and season 4 of The Boys, and it does address some continuity that's happened from the previous season. So, not saying that you're going to see cameos of characters, you do see a few, but it does is a in-universe storyline in this show. But I gotta say again, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and rightfully deserved. But you guys, The Boys spinoff show, Gen V, still coming out. I think Fridays. I don't know when Amazon dropped their shows, whatever. But that's gonna be coming out weekly, and they have 9 episodes in total. So we'll be giving you up our reviews and everything like that in the coming weeks and stuff. So be on the lookout for that. All right. For the next one, after the writer's strike and stuff, we've had bunch of writers basically going back into production, i.e., the Stranger Things cast. They're basically going back writing the final season for Stranger Things, but the big one really is going to Marvel. their other properties and stuff, right? We know that we have a bunch of delays coming out, but there was a lot of big Marvel news that came out this week, and which goes into our next segment called "What's New in the MCU." 1 second. Where's the video? Shoot, there we go. Yeah, you like that shit? I like it too. Yeah. Yeah, so it has been reported by Deadline that Marvel, we know that X-Men is coming, into the MCU. We got Deadpool 3, which is still coming out hopefully sometime next year. But we have actually got confirmation that MCU or that Marvel is currently looking for writers to actually develop a X-Men film within the MCU. We know that Deadpool is still going to be bringing back some returning characters, as we know, such as Hugh Jackman and a few other people, such as Jennifer Gardner as Elektra and other characters as well. But Blackwing, I just want to ask you a question about what do you think about the fact that they're now looking at writers for an X-Men movie? We don't know, and this is aside from Deadpool 3. We don't know when this movie's coming out, but they just confirmed from Deadline that we're going to be looking for writers to develop a X-Men project.
I just hope with these writers, I want them to actually stick to really stick it close to the source material. Don't make it like a carbon copy of it, but definitely want to keep it like right on the nose. And with X-Men, there's a variety you can do with this. Granted, there's so many characters to choose from. So you have a big, you have a big basket of, of characters to choose from, and you have a big basket of massive, long, oversized stories to choose from for the X-Men. So how can I say this without trying to, it's really dope that they're finally getting started on this, because I know Marvel fans have been asking about this for like a very, very long time. And I've been patiently waiting. You don't want to rush the process, because if you rush the process, you're gonna get like a spoiled project, and nobody wants that. So I'm patiently waiting to see how this goes with the writers. I think if they're gonna do the X-Men, I want them to try to start off with the original five, like the Fab Five. And what I mean by the Fab Five, I'm talking Scott, Jean, Hank, Warren, and Bobby. Just start off with those five first before you move on to like the all new X-Men team with Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Storm, Colossus, Warpath, Banshee, those guys. So like everyone has like a different, the X-Men has so many jumping on points and so much history, especially how with this year it's the X-Men and the Avengers 60th anniversary. So you have a big variety of choices to choose from. You have different eras that you could choose from as well. So, trying to find that good jumping on point of which characters to choose from. So, if you want to introduce them in a way, I would say start with the beginning, start back with the basics, like during the Jack Kirby and Stan Lee era. Like start off with the Fab Five with Charles, start off with, Magneto being evil and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Start off with like, the Sentinels, because a lot of people don't know that the Sentinels actually they've been around since literally the X-Men's heyday. So you have a lot of history to work with that. So I would say I would want them to start with the Fab Five with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I still think there needs to be some questions need to be answered. Because again, like with the X-Men, not only with the rebooted or timeline with no first class X-Men, the original X-Men, but with Deadpool, there's a whole nother layer to this that we don't know what direction that we're going, because we heard multiple reports about them having multiple different Deadpools, multiple different Wolverines, and possibly introducing the new MCU Wolverine in the next Deadpool, which is why, and if anyone knows me, I've been very adamant that with this whole writer and actor strike, I'm just ready for Deadpool 3. That's my most anticipated film in Marvel for the next year, aside from Secret Wars and Fantastic Four and Spider-Man 4, all that stuff. Deadpool 3 is my most anticipated film coming into next year, only because aside from Loki, which I still think was the best MCU show for continuity wise, and actually feel like they actually thought this plot through. I actually think there's gonna be ramifications in Deadpool, and not just this film is not gonna just be a throwaway and not gonna be important. I think there's gonna be some huge ramifications in Deadpool 3. But again, with developing this X-Men script, that's just showing that movie is in development and that it's coming very, very soon. In terms of coming soon, as in terms of the next couple of years that we'll be developing this script, and then next you're gonna be starting seeing the seeds of mutants in the MCU more prevalent than you've seen before, because we've seen Marvel with Kamala Khan, identifying as a mutant, and Namor from Black Panther. But now we need to get to more of the heart of the actual core members. Now, you mentioned something that I actually kind of agree with you, is that we need to establish some core X-Men before we get the whole gang. Now, because for me, depending on terms of how they're going to introduce them, whether they've been here all along or it's like a multiversal thing, I would like there to be some type of history there. For example, establishing Scott Summers as the leader and not having that relationship with Jean Grey, especially for being young, but also with Hank McCoy, with Angel, with Bobby, all the stuff like that. Like, I would like that to have, showing that type of legacy before we get to terms of main, big people. But now, just between you and me, I think they're just gonna skip with just the, was it the '90s X-Men core, lineup, and especially not only because of popularity, but also in terms of diversity too. Like, they're gonna be trying to say, okay, listen, we need to get Storm, we need to get Dark Skin Storm, we need to get Jubilee for Asian representation, we need to get we can get Warpath for Indian representation, I guess, or something. Wolverine, we got him. We got to think of Rogue. Hey, it's gonna be Kiki Palmer. We don't know, So yeah, but I will ask you. Aside from, because we don't know the script, we don't know the storyline, we don't know the villain, if it's gonna be Magneto or Mr. Sinister, which I've been waiting to see. But like, what in terms of the core X-Men, aside from the original 5, that if they are gonna go in terms of the more popular route with these characters, like what lineup do you want to see, like in terms of just in the first X-Men movie, that we have either we have seen before and done a better representation, or something, or some characters we haven't seen before?
See, that's tough because again, they have so many different iconic lineups outside of the original 5. Like, the all new being so incredibly diverse, you have people from different nations on that team lineup, and you have the 90s lineup because of how just iconic it is because of the 90s cartoon. So you have literally between those two. But of course, starting with the international lineup is a bit tricky because you have these characters from all different walks of life, from all different nations of the world, that some of these characters are not really well known. I mean, everybody knows Storm, everybody knows Wolverine, everybody knows Nightcrawler and Colossus, but not everybody knows who Banshee is or Warp. I said Warpath, but that was an accident. I meant to say shoot, what's that character's name?
Forge?
Not Forge, not Forge. I mean, Forge he is in the Native American representation bracket, but I forgot his name because he literally shows up in all giant size X-Men. He literally dies within like 2 issues later. I forgot what he's related to Warpath, but it's not coming to me. I literally got to.
I'm trying to. I think I know what you're talking. Give me my Negro spot.
Like, I'm literally sitting in front of my computer right now. I was like, what is that character's name?
Warpath brother.
Thunderbird. There we go. Thunderbird. There we go.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
I was like, what is that guy's name? I was like, Thunderbird.
Yeah,
That's his name. So yeah, I said Warpath because he literally came up to Warpath was like the character that came to mind because he also is in the Native American community, with, you know, 2 daggers and everything. So I just like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, what's that character? Thunderbird. So yes.
Shout out to Team Fatty. Shout out to Team Fatty in the building.
But it's hard. If anything, I may say I want to go with the 90s X-Men roster because, you know, like I said, it's just iconic. If you want to add some people to that, because when you look at the 90s Jim Lee poster, well, not poster, the covers, when you look at them together, you have pretty much a lot of people, if you can't really see them that well, but Iceman's on that cover. um Gambit's on that cover. Psylocke is on that cover. Like all like the OGs, some members from the all new team are on that cover. But the thing is, the X-Men is such a big team. You don't want to overload the movie with so many characters to keep track of. That's because that's also kind of a problem that Young Justice has when you has all these
Oh
characters.
yeah.
When
Oh
you have
yeah.
all these
Thank you for
characters all
saying
in one
that.
show, it's hard to give each one of them a spotlight. Instead, you just only spotlight only 5 characters out of like 10 or 13.
Yeah, because like for one, I mean it's a massive line in terms of what the direction you want to go. Because again, now the boy spinoff show is actually kind of based off of the X-Men. But again, still many different characters that can be that are represented in that. And but the thing about it is not bodying in terms of the X-Men sandwich, too much in terms of okay, it's a plethora of these characters. We just gotta pick a handful of them but also establish a core lineup that yes, some of them we have seen before. You have to have your essentials. You gotta have your Wolverine. You gotta have your Storm. You gotta have your Cyclops, your Jean Grey. Period. Gotta have a Rogue. But then here's the other thing you have to add. We have times we were going to get a Gambit. We were going to get a Nightcrawler. We got Nightcrawler, but all of them together, right? So Beast in terms of not just in the last installment, an accurate Mystique, Forge, or Bishop, or something like that, right? We have an accurate Cable from Deadpool that we got, which was, I think that was a way better Colossus than we got before. But again, we got also another characters like Magic, and especially you talk about New Mutants, which I think will be a good Disney Plus show, but for like a Saved by the Bell type of thing. But like,
I could see the New Mutants working as like a Disney Plus series. I could
yeah,
see
as
that.
a series, like it should never have been a film. This should never have been a film. But has Psylocke, Emma Frost, like I think other characters. Sunspot, you got Magic, Angel,
Cannonball,
Cannonball.
Magma.
Yeah, this is about Ice Man, Kitty. Oh, Kitty Pride.
Oh yeah,
Now,
Kitty.
so the big one, because another thing, because we know for a fact that in the recent Guardians of the Galaxy film, it said that Star Lord will return. Now we're all like, wait, what? What do you mean Star Lord going to return? Well, everyone, and myself included, thought, okay, that means he's just going to be on standby for an X-Men movie. Now you might wonder why Star Lord should be in an X-Men movie. Well, because he actually proposed to an X-Men, and not just any X-Men. He proposed to Kitty Pryde. That's right, Shadowcat. He actually popped the question. He was jumping from lily pad to lily pad, but he actually found someone, and that person was Kitty Pryde. Now, recently, the previous X-Men installments, Kitty Pryde was very, very young. Now, I don't know if they're actually going to do something different with her character, but she is very, very popular. I'm trying to find what was the comic panel where he proposed.
I remember I remember reading that story arc. I read that story arc like twice. That era of Guardians was very tricky because the writer, Brian Michael Bendis, he was writing both Guardians and all new X-Men, and he was writing a lot of stuff at around that time period. So he was doing
Mhm.
a whole lot. I know that relationship didn't, it didn't really go anywhere. I don't think the wedding actually evidently even happened. But I mean, I
You
feel like
know,
that era of Marvel Comics is definitely around that time where I feel like, you just pair somebody up just to pair somebody up. And yeah, I mean, the story arc I thought was pretty cool. The design, the art, and everything. But in terms of like story and development for those characters, for like Peter and Kitty, it really didn't really go anywhere. But you are correct though, because when the all new, all different Marvel era started, Kitty took over the role as Star Lord, and you had the Thing being part of the Guardians, Venom, Flash Thompson, who went by Agent Venom. He was also a member of the Guardians around that time, and Peter was doing political work on his father's home planet because Peter is of royalty, but I've only read that run of Guardians once, so I forgot how it ended. It wasn't really the best run. That second run of Bendis was not really the best.
Yeah, and I honestly feel like, again, as we mentioned with Kitty Pryde, with Star Lord, like also have iconic relationships. Like, hey, like Gambit and Rogue together. I want to see like stuff like this more now that we're all in the same family, and also beats the peak of their characters in terms of how they're interpreted. Like we can have a flying Rogue, have a more super strength, Rogue that can touch Captain Marvel in the Marvel, so to make you go watch the movie. So at least you have some importance of knowing what happens in that storyline. Just make it somewhat relevant. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you have Captain Marvel. So yeah, Gambit. Also, this now, fortunately, again, we won't have Storm with T'Challa, but depending on the age and time travel, and aging close up.
with how they brought in T'Challa's son, I feel like they're gonna find a way to like incorporate that relationship
Yeah.
because I'm literally currently reading that run now with as T'Challa and Aurora as King and Queen of Wakanda. Of course, now currently in the current stage of Marvel Comics, they're just lovers. They're not getting remarried. They're just at this point they're just basically lovers at this point.
Right, right. But again, like to me, like my dream in terms of as just as a fan, comic fan, and everything, you just want to just make somebody tear up, whatever. There's this comic book panel with Black Panther and Storm. To me, that I still want to this day. I still want to this day, and this one, is right here. Let me go pull up my screen. Yeah.
Yep, I that was the first one that popped into my head. I'm like,
It's
I
just
know what
like
you.
this is to me the most badass, like cover in terms of Black Panther and Storm I've seen. And we need it. And I don't care what anybody say in the modern conversations. We need a dark skinned Storm, and we need to be with Black Panther just for one shot. One shot. Okay. Um, and just for the black couples out there. It's gotta be some hope, you know. But aside from that, again, I have no direction in terms of like where they're going to go until I see Deadpool 3. So once that film comes out, then we can actually have more clarity about who's our Wolverine, and also kind of get a gauge of in terms of the ages, and also what type of X-Men team that they want to develop in the current state of the MCU. Whether it be rebooted or not, only time will tell. But that concludes in terms of that topic. But let us know in the comments down below if you think about that. Marvel Studios is currently looking for writers for an X-Men project. Looking through in the comments right here. What was it? Marcus was saying to add some X-Men villains that would be great, like Omega Red. Yeah, Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister is a big one.
Mr. Sinister would definitely work. Omega Red, he has more ties to Wolverine, so you could do Omega Red, but he works. He could work. He could definitely work. I think, but that you had to have like an already established X-Men team with history before you bring in Omega Red. Mr. Sinister, I think you could also build up as well.
Yeah. I mentioned Mark Wally's talking about Gambit, definitely. Jubilee, yeah, we need to have her more than just 2 minutes.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Um, saying that Mark is saying Channing Tatum, who's supposed to play him, and remember the animated movies of Heroes of Tomorrow, the Kids, Avengers, the Young Avengers
Oh
were.
yeah, next
I
Avengers
remember.
series is tomorrow.
Yeah, I
I
remember
remember.
that storyline. I think that's a really underrated animated film. I mean, I know it wasn't the best, but like definitely underrated.
I thought the concept was cool.
Yeah, I actually liked it. I mean, definitely the kid, what's his name, Azari, who's the son of Black Panther, but has electrical powers. Yeah, that's off the chain, man. But yeah, um, but yeah, guys. But next topic still I think was staying MCU. Who else was going on next week? Oh yeah. So aside from that, we're actually gonna go to shift from going into Marvel, now going into DC. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm a big fan of DC, and Blackwing here is also a fan of DC. Now the current state of DC universe is about to change. We got one film left. Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom, which is coming out this December, which will conclude uh, the last film within the DCEU. Now, James Gunn has come out and said that gave us a full slate of DC film projects is coming out very, very soon, or released in the next coming years. But we at least got news that came out. And after this strike is over, which it has been in terms of the writers, and the actors are going to be meeting tomorrow or on Monday to actually be discussing new deals and terms in terms of ending their strike as well. James Gunn has came out and said that he is going to be giving some updates very, very soon. Now, one thing that he did came up is that talking about who a few actors that are going to be coming and not going to be recast in the new DC universe, right? I can't find a picture here. Give me 1 second, y'all. He basically came out and said that as much as we're getting a new Superman with what was his name? David Cornsweet, and who's going to be a new Superman, not Henry Cavill. We're getting a new Batman, not Ben Affleck, and the Wonder Woman right now is kind of up, in the blue because we had Gal Gadot say, "Oh yeah, James, I'm having met with James. We're going to do Wonder Woman 3," and people like, "No, James, I didn't say that. No."
Yeah.
So yeah, so like basically she's like, yeah, I'm doing Wonder Woman 3. Would you, right? And James,
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
yeah, I don't know what James didn't know what she was talking about. But anyway, he has come out to confirm that at least 3 actors will be continuing in the new DCEU. Oh, or not DCEU, DC Universe. And those 3 actors will be John Cena as Peacemaker, Zolo Mariduena as Blue Beetle, which just came out this past summer. I really enjoyed the film.
That was a great movie.
Yes, and also Amanda Waller, Viola Davis herself, will be also continuing as well. Now, aside from these 3 actors, I am very happy that we're going to see them continue. Personally, the fact that again, regardless of the outcome of Blue Beetle, I still think that was a fantastic film, but more importantly, I thought that was a great character. His performance in there, tonally wise, felt to me what the DC universe is supposed to be. Now, regardless whether you can have a better script or whatever and other characters and better storyline, that's no here or there. But for me, the film was very impactful for me, and I left out very happy and want to see this character again. Now, where and when, that's left to be discussed. But also going to Peacemaker, I was not a fan of them when they announced the Peacemaker show right before I went to go see the Suicide Squad. Then I saw the Suicide Squad. I'm like, okay, I thought the film was was good and everything. It wasn't the best thing ever. But then when I saw Peacemaker, it was something that I was just watching off on the side, whatever. My 6 a.m. shifts at work when I was in college, right? And I watched an episode at a time, and I was like, you know what, this is actually pretty good. And then and because of that show became one of the highest rated DCU properties that came out, at least on HBO Max at the time, right? And we're gonna be getting a second season or another season of Peacemaker, whether it be a season 2 of that current show or just a different version of Peacemaker, but still be John Cena. We'll probably get updates about that later. But I was a fan of Peacemaker. I'm glad to see him again. But you cannot forget Viola Davis in both installments. Again, when I close my eye now, the different versions of Viola Davis that you can get in terms of physically, we've seen. I remember, the shorter woman from the Justice League Unlimited cartoons. But still, and when I still close my eyes and I still hear Viola Davis talk and be Amanda Waller, that's Amanda Waller. And where you want admit it or not, to be the crux of the DC universe where this person could be in any property, and the fact that when she shows up, you know something's about to go down. Amanda Waller is that person, and we need to have some type of connectivity moving forward in the DC universe. So to have her come back and knowing that she's gonna be getting her own series, and knowing like not knowing what the context of that story is going to be, I'm all here for it. But again, I'm happy to say that we're going to be having John Cena coming back as Peacemaker, Blue Beetle's coming back, and Viola Davis coming back, and Amanda Waller. But Blackwing, what are your thoughts on? At least we got confirmation that these three actors are going to continue.
Well, I'm satisfied that Viola Davis is going to come back as live action Amanda Waller, because she gave a phenomenal performance in both films for sure. I'm definitely satisfied with that. I can't pronounce his name. Actor who played Blue Beetle, I cannot pronounce his first name.
Xolo Mariduena.
Yeah, Sholo. Okay, so that's how you pronounce it. He did a phenomenal job as Jaime Reyes, and Blue Beetle was a great movie. Unfortunately, it didn't make the money that it was supposed to make because, and it got plucked. It had a short run time, and it had a short run in theaters, and it's already out on digital. But it was, I consider it a win of a movie for DC, because WB needed a win, because they've been taking L after L after L for so long, and even I was getting sick and tired of them taking L's. It came to the point where I just didn't want to watch their films anymore. But Blue Beetle was that little bit of ray of hope, which was good. But as for John Cena playing Peacemaker, I mean, the first time I heard about Peacemaker was because of the Suicide Squad sequel. That's the very first time I ever heard of Peacemaker. But I didn't watch his show, and the reason why I chose not to watch a show is because I don't feel like that's a character that deserves to be a household name. The reason why I say that, because this may lead into like a tangent, but this is what I'm saying. DC has all these wide variety of characters, a huge library of legendary characters plus legacy characters as well. But you pick someone that's like basically a C-list or D-list tier kind of character. You give him his own show. Of course, most people watch it because it's John Cena. It's John Cena. Everyone loves John Cena. But I mean, the fact that he's still returning to play his character, I mean, okay, cool. But my problem is this. I don't know if this is going to lead to our next topic or not regarding the DC universe as a whole. But
Oh yes,
with this new lineup, everything rides on Superman Legacy, because we haven't had a successful Superman movie in so long. I mean, if you want to say Man of Steel was successful, I mean, to each their own. I mean, I thought Man of Steel was cool. I get it. Most people didn't like it because it wasn't stick to the roots of his character, which is fair. That's a justifiable reason not to like it. But everything rides so much on Superman Legacy, because we've been getting nothing but like Batman projects for so long, and to the point where I'm getting sick and tired of Batman. I'm really to the point where, like, I don't care about Batman. I mean, whenever the sequel for the Batman releases, I don't really care. Whenever it releases, I really don't. I'll see it, but to be honest, I'm not like anticipated to see it, because we've gotten so many Bat projects, but every other character in DC's library has barely got the chance to shine. Sure, Wonder Woman had like 2 films. Wonder Woman 84 didn't really hit the stuff. Trust me, I didn't really like Wonder Woman 84 either. So as I'm looking at this lineup, Superman Legacy has some massive shoes to fill, because it's going to be hard to try to match that tone, because when you think of a perfect Superman movie, the first thing you think of is the Christopher Reeve movies, and I've watched that movie for many times. When I think Superman movie, I automatically go to like Superman 1 and Superman 2, just those two.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say Superman Returns because Superman Returns is kind of iffy. But anywho, Superman Legacy has a lot of big shoes to fill because you have to stick to that core roots of this character. We were told that this is already going to be like a quote unquote, not really Superman who's in his prime, but already established like on Earth. But again, it's scary. I'm just look, I'm very hesitant on this new era of DC because I want them to win. I want them to succeed. I don't want them to continue to do this long track record of people saying like, "Oh yeah, Marvel films have been fantastic. What does DC have? Failures, failures. Man, forget DC. Screw DC movies." And I want them to win. I really want them to win. I want both franchises to actually be on top, not have one be on top of the other and then the other one does well and the other one's down on the bottom. So I really, really have very strong skepticism, and it's really strong to have skepticism about this new era because Superman, you have Lanterns. That's going to be a TV show, which I'm Lanterns is my highly anticipated project
Oh
because
yeah, same here. Same here.
I'm a big Green Lantern fan and I'm a big John Stewart fan. So I'm highly anticipating that one, but I'm not trying to have I don't really have any expectations for that as of yet.
Mhm.
Booster Gold is another project which I feel like that's a bit of an oddball choice, but we'll see how it goes. And maybe with the positive reception of Blue Beetle, that could lead to like, a Booster Gold and Blue Beetle project because we all knew back during the DCEU era when Warner Brothers was announcing all those projects over and over and over again, they said a Blue Beetle Booster Gold project was in the works and it never happened. So there are some projects I'm looking forward to, Lanterns being one of them, but again, everything is riding on that introduction with Superman Legacy. If Superman Legacy flops, that is it. And we don't really know what to expect with Aquaman's The Lost Kingdom because of so much controversy that was surrounding it with Amber Heard and the long delays that it had to face. So I'm pretty sure Aquaman's gonna not have that long of a theater run, just like Flash and Blue Beetle. So Aquaman's already in the red light. It's already in the red zone as it is. So regardless if it makes the money or not, because the first movie made $1 billion, which blows my mind. That's like that DC movie is the only one that crossed the $1 billion mark. BVS was close. It was like right there, but it didn't make it. But it was like right there, close to it. So Aquaman, I already feel like is dead in the water, no pun intended. But really, everything is riding on Superman Legacy at this point.
Mhm. Yeah, because we're gonna get into our question, or our conversation coming up here, because uh, uh, aside from before we get into that conversation about comic book films in general, because I'm gonna be doing a live stream later. This is gonna be right around the end of the year. I'm gonna grab like a couple of people I know I trust, like in terms of knowing deep more about the comic book film industry. But more importantly, have a nice broad perspective. Like we need to have a serious conversation about how the current state of these movies are going, right? Well, and it's talking about superhero fatigue, right? And now for me, I always had a little pushback to that because I wouldn't say I would believe in terms of superhero fatigue. I believe in terms of superhero film mediocrity, right? And because just as you can say in terms of rom coms, cop movies, slave movies, action movies, spy movies, whatever, they're always going to be there. Whether there's going to be fatigue of it, that's not here or there, right? Um, the in terms of the upcoming films that he announced, you were absolutely right. Now this goes in terms of DC. The fact that the question is proposed: How are we being overly critical of the new DC universe coming out, even though we're not getting a movie in about 2 years?
See, whether we're being overcritical or not, I would say to some extent yes, but also no. The reason why I say no, we're not being overly critical because when you have insanity, you're doomed to repeat it over and over and over again, and that's what we got with the DCEU. Nothing but, I would say, close to solid movies, but bad results. Like
Mhm.
the money was there, but in terms of like audience reception, it wasn't there. And it's like to the point where people didn't even go to the theaters to even go see the movies. So yes, but also no. Now
Mhm.
for the yes part is because we have this new era of DC for people to get into, and you're bringing in characters that again are not household names. Granted, Marvel was able to turn so many of their B-list and C-list characters and make them into household names. Back in the day, the only characters that people were talking about for Marvel back in the day in the 90s, it was Spider-Man and the X-Men. Those were Marvel's two biggest heavy hitters back then. They found a way to make Iron Man relevant. They found a way to make Hulk, Captain America, Thor, the Avengers, one literally the B-list team of Marvel, and they were able to make them into an A team onto the same level as the Avengers. Now, with projects like Creature Commandos, which James said that's going to be an animated project, you have a lot more free reign with animation. You can do whatever you want with that. With characters like the Authority, which is again not a household name team. Not everyone knows who the Authority are. I know who they are. I just never read their books, but I'm familiar about it. So it's gonna be an interesting concept, especially with characters like Apollo and Midnighter, who are basically gay Superman and Batman. So it's gonna be an interesting take on how people are gonna perceive those characters, how people are gonna accept those characters onto the screen. Basically, the two headliners for Authority are basically going to be Apollo and Midnighter. Those two for sure. As I'm not familiar with the rest of the team, I'm just familiar with just Apollo and Midnighter. But in terms of being overly critical, yes, I'm open to new things, trying something new, but I'm also skeptical of seeing like how this is going to work, especially with characters that we all know and love. Brave and the Bold is a project that I'm really unsure of what they're gonna do, because Brave
Mhm.
and the Bold, that's you can do whatever you want. That's an iconic title for DC as itself. You have Batman
Yeah.
teaming up with just like a random hero in DC's library, and with them using the images, they keep using the images of Dick Grayson's Batman. So I'm wondering, like, are we this Batman and Robin movie? Is it gonna be Dick and Damian, or is it Bruce and Damian? Because
Right.
regardless,
Yes.
regardless of whichever one they choose, I'm open to it. I mean, I've read Dick and Damien's run. I thought it was great. I read Bruce and Damien's run. I thought that was fantastic for a father and son story. So you have different ideas. You have two routes to choose with Brave and the Bold. So whichever one you choose, you got to make sure it sticks to that core element and make sure that it gets it right.
Mhm.
So I could say, in short, to answer your question, are we being overly critical? I say yes and no.
Mhm. Now, you notice how James Gunn only said confirm about these three actors. There were some actors he didn't say in that report that came out of Hollywood Reporter. All right. Now, I want you to look at this picture here. Name me any of these actors that he named in that press release.
Not a single one.
Not a single one. Which that's telling y'all this is going to be a clean reboot. And Jason Momoa is coming back, but not as an Aquaman, as Lobo. He's because listen, if you remember, he was out leaving Warner Brothers Ranch and stuff, and when the time years ago when he finally got cast as Aquaman, then he walked out screaming, and then this time he walked out, left out screaming, saying, "Thank you, James Gunn, Peter Safran." The only person from the original Justice League lineup that's actually happy about what's going on, right? Or at least very vocal and adamant about it, and which is telling you that this guy is coming back, but not as um as Aquaman. Now, here's the thing: we have not gotten a announcement of who the villain of Superman Legacy going to be, but the upcoming announcements I think is going to happen. There's going to be a few things. One, I think he's going to announce who's the new Batman, because at least you need to have that core. We know we got director Andy Muschietti from The Flash going to be directing the new Batman film. However, We're getting a new Batman, no Ben Affleck, no Robert Pattinson. This is gonna be a DCU Batman with a Damian Wayne Robin, his son. Now, with that, there's also another thing too. Who's gonna be a villain for Superman Legacy? Is it gonna be Brainiac? Is it gonna be Lobo? Which is be as a younger Superman and your first villain being a bounty hunter? That's actually not a that wild of a an antagonist, but Lobo to be a main villain or just a actual character in the film, whether or not and be someone else who hired him to be going after Superman. Either way, I think having Lobo in the Superman movie makes sense, and I hope they announce that as Lobo, because that'd be awesome. Now, who's the villain who I want to be as your first Superman movie? I don't know. And we still haven't waiting on Lex Luthor casting, but because of the strike, things were, somewhat delayed. Is it gonna be, I don't know, Mr. Plex? I don't know. You can make something up, Yeah, I really have no idea about that. Also, what is the remaining chapter of Gods and Monsters of the DC universe, right? Because this whole slate that you see here, let me get my thing. This whole slate of the DC universe is only the first part of it. Right here. In terms of how they are able to distinguish whether these films are canon or not, right? Because as you can see on the top here, these are remaining films that we have coming out. Then we got the Creature Commandos animated series, live action series of Waller, and then Superman Legacy, which is the only one that has a confirmed release date, which is going to be July 11th, 2025. Which is going to be, so we're almost a year and about 3 or 4 months away from this film being made, or from seeing this film. And but as you can see here, Paradise Lost, Batman Brave the Bold, Booster Gold as a show, a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. We don't know if it's Sasha. We don't know if she's coming back. Swamp Thing as a film, but we're still getting Joker 2 and the Batman Part 2. We're still getting those things, but they're Elseworlds. Superman Lois, fantastic show, but still gonna be separate. But I think that he's probably gonna get more clarification coming soon. But here's the thing: when I'm saying that the fact that I think we're kind of being overcritical because Kevin Feige didn't get this back in 2008 when he just went. The only thing that he was focused on was making a good movie, which is what he should be doing. James Gunn, there has not been a film that he made that has been widely or critically bad, or other than financially, you can say Suicide Squad, but that's a Warner Brothers move, not James made a bad movie or something, right? Because they released the movie on streaming the same day it was in theaters during the pandemic, right? But with terms of DC Universe, again, if you actually take a step back here, and I want to challenge people, what is the one movie that we go back to Marvel Phase 1?
Iron Man.
Iron Man. Do you go back to Marvel Phase 1 and talk about the Incredible Hulk?
I mean, sometimes I do, but
you can say sometimes, but I'm saying on a regular basis. We're saying, man, I love that Incredible Hulk movie, man. I love that. I love the Edward Norton, man. I love that. No, it's Iron Man. Almost over 10 plus years. It's been Iron Man.
15 now. This year makes 15.
Yeah. So with that means that there's been one film that's been consistent. You had a continuing thread. You had one decent, good film. There's a problem with DC that you didn't have that one film that was at least decent that everybody can say, "Oh, champion!" Like, you know what? I love this movie, and had that being a continuing thread, because you have to understand, we have Blue Beetle. Regardless of that movie being good in terms of story and everything, people did not receive that well, or people did not go to see that movie. But you have to understand that in the age of where now we're seeing a lot of plots being more repetitive, and we can now see, oh, I've seen this before. I've seen this in Thor: The Dark World. I've seen this in Iron Man. I've seen this in Captain America: Winter Soldier. It's the same plot. Oh, this is just another Guardians of the Galaxy with new skin. Oh, the Authority. Okay. Oh, it's just like The Boys. Okay, cool. No, it's the game thing. You have to understand. You have to understand that both for Marvel and DC context, that you're gonna have to change the way you make these superhero films. And there's no more just throwing the Avengers movie out there because forget all of them. Nobody currently right now, nobody cares about the new Captain America. Nobody cares about Captain Marvel. Nobody cares about these characters the way we used to. Not saying that I did not like Falcon and Winter Soldier. I have a personal like thing with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like I cried at the finale when Isaiah Bradley got his honorable statue and everything, memorial and everything. That was a very touching moment to me that really didn't get me in any other Disney Plus show, aside from like WandaVision or Loki, but like really that show hit me. So I was like, that's why I won't like throw that show out the window, like thinking like, oh, it wasn't bad. But Riley, until we get a good Captain America movie with Sam Wilson and stuff like that, which we're gonna, which is coming out, but until we see that and receive that well, then that's no here or there. There needs to be impact that this dude is Captain America. But the problem is, again, you lack the continuing thread in the rest of these movies that the whole world, the MCU, did not react that this guy is a new Captain America. You did not react in terms of the world of the MCU that T'Challa is dead, that died, passed away. You did not have all those a continuing thread saying, wait, this Wanda girl was the event party Avengers, and she's killing folks now. Like you haven't had a continuing thread of everyone connected feeling some type of impact. So guess what? When Civil War happened, that affected everything. When Thor and Hulk went up to space and everything had that storyline and it came back, that actually affected other storylines. When you have Doctor Strange, being a vital point in terms of an Infinity War storyline, that had actual impact. Again, now we're all to the point where we lack this continuing thread, and yet you over convoluted a storyline or a story method of the multiverse, which has been used in comics in multiple iterations, but actually done better. Because we can say, oh, this is just Earth 1, Earth 2, i.e. the Flash TV show, which explained it for over 10 years, or almost 10 years, from going from 9 seasons, right? But the point about this with DC is that, listen, we're in an age, how in the world, and you mentioned a good point about Peacemaker, how in the world is Peacemaker one of the highest rated shows of DC Universe that ever came out in terms of the DCU? It was the highest rated show, from that DC universe. It was higher than Suicide Squad, higher than Batman vs Superman, higher than Wonder Woman, higher than all that stuff, right? It was the number one thing of a C-list character. So what you're telling me, you're putting more thought in the C-list characters than your Titans, i.e., no pun intended. But
no, you're right. You're saying it right because I'm wondering how Titans continues to be mediocre. Like I jumped ship from that show after the 3rd season. I didn't even once I saw that trailer for the 4th season, I was like, yeah, I'm not watching this no more. I'm done.
Right, and this is the thing, and the reason why I'm going to be doing that live stream, because we have to dissect everything in terms of like how we got here, but also where we are going, which is why I'm waiting until Captain Marvel comes out. I'm waiting until Aquaman comes out, and then we actually have this discussion, because I already know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen, right? So, but again, going on to this with be overly critical is that I'd rather just wait and be patient and watch the artist, able to perfect his craft. And also, shout out to Information Man building. Moderators, you please put his channel in the chat, please. I know Blackwing. If you also if you haven't put your channel link in there too, I don't think
sure.
Yeah. But with this, it's just like we need to go back to having more hopeful stories, right? Now, I felt Blue Beetle was a hopeful story in the age of everyone in terms of DC universe trying to be Batman. We have gotten because Batman's been working for the last 20 years, 25 years. But again, just because Batman is Batman, that's his character, doesn't mean you have to make everybody dark. Because Batman is great and his relationship is great with the other characters because he's dark and some of these other characters not, which is why when you had his dynamic in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon series, it actually had impact when Batman is not reacting, when Darkseid is coming to Superman asking for help and he's saying, Darkseid, he humiliated me, he took advantage of me and everything, and Batman looked Superman in the face and said, cry me a river. People need help. Grow up. And then also his relationship with Diana Prince, the fact that he has this hard exterior, and yet her being the gentle spirit that she is, and able to actually get something with him. Able to speak to him. Again, those dynamics, we need to see those, and that really was the foundation of these characters. And again, I'm not saying anything about Snyder in terms of all the, the Snyderverse and all stuff like that, but these characters were viewed as gods. Not saying that they can't be viewed as terms of a fantasy element, but at the root of these characters, that there are just good people, but also dynamic and complex people. And because also they're able to dive off of each other. And I know this because I've seen this when I was a child. I watched this when I was a kid, watching this with my dad in the WB, watching all of this. And how is it that a cartoon show is having more personal relationships and actual good character development than these live action $250 million films? How? And now to the point now that you're actually getting a loss. That now that a movie that costs $150 million won't even make that much because you forgot to make a good story. The Creator that just came out, right, is a fantastic visual spectacle, right? It's visually amazing, directed by Garrett Edwards, right? Now I had issues with the plot, whatever, but I'll talk about that. But that film was made for $80 million. $80 million, and you see the visual effects on that. Explain to me. And yet we can still make Batman. Batman has not been broken until Batman, Robin, whatever, but he's been consistent, been a money maker for decades at this point. And because what's going to happen is that, especially on both Marvel and DC, and when we get into the next topic, is that it's going to get to a point when people are like, wait, is it a Batman film? Is it a Spider-Man film? Is it an X-Men film? Oh, it's not? Okay, then I don't care. Because collectively, all three of those projects have been financially viable, aside from X-Men, going fluctuating and everything. But those two, especially Batman and Spider-Man, billion-dollar properties on its own. But you have more under your belt. And that's what I'm saying as DC fans, where I'm feeling like when we're looking at this entire slate, it makes no sense to me why we have a blue beat a Booster Gold right now. Not saying he's not a great character, but why now? So again, and you might have some great storyline and to this character. Okay, great. I'll be patient. I'll wait for that. But again, I really want to say that Superman Legacy, and I think in the first time we've ever seen this since maybe Infinity War, how much a comic film is so important. Because Infinity War had a lot of weight to it, because it was building up a climax that they've been building up for almost 6 years, right? But with Superman Legacy, it's not just, let's make a good Superman movie. No, we're trying to set a path for a new DC universe. And it fails if it bombs, but really just need to be creatively good. Because I think there are some people going to just trying to go in there and just hate it for the sake of hating it, which I don't want that. I really don't. Like, if it's good, I want to get all the glory so we can have something continuing, and move forward with it. But if it's not, when we have all this stuff that's promised to us, false promises, don't give me hope. We can't just be restarting like this. And it's a shame, and I know because you and I are both fan of these characters, but in animated form, we know for a fact that you can do this. We know for a fact you've been doing it. You did it back in the 90s. You did it back and yet you can talk about the industry being changed from the film. But we want to see those characters and those storylines being implemented. And I think James Gunn, for that, he is taking creative risks with some characters we don't know. But I think it also leads some opportunity too, because, hey, in Justice League Limited, I remember there's some characters I didn't know when I was a kid. But then here I am years later, I'm watching The Flash, and I'm like, wait, I know that. That's Shade. I remember Shade. I remember this character, Dr. Light, and stuff like that showed up in Justice League Unlimited, because they were just there. And it sticks with you. And so it's like, I don't know. I think that I'm saying I have my prayers and I'm having hope and everything, but I want to see a consistent DC universe. That's all I want, But I still about to drop the link though. But aside from that, that was a good conversation. But I think what was else? What was left here? Ahsoka. Now, Ahsoka episode 7 came out this past Tuesday. Blackwing, did you see it?
Yes, I did. Funny enough, the day release, I watched half of it, and then I literally watched the back half of the episode literally this morning. So yeah, I'm up to date.
Okay.
First
What's
of
your
all,
thoughts on it?
it feels great to finally talk about it because when the writer's strike was going on for like crud, I cannot talk about this, but I want to talk about how much I'm enjoying it. So I am really enjoying it. Really, I am enjoying Ahsoka. Really, I am. Especially since I'm currently watching Rebels right now. I'm making my way through season 2 because I knew I was gonna get spoiled regardless because I tried watching Rebels back in its heyday. I just didn't have the time to. So with this penultimate episode, seeing the reunion between Sabine and Ezra and Ahsoka, it felt really really good. Granted, that scene that you were talking about, how Ezra was like he's not using his lightsaber anymore. He's just using the Force. I'm like, dude, take your damn lightsaber and fight. You know you can use it.
Man, listen, I got grilled on TikTok for that, but I don't care. Now part of me was joking, like it's not the end of the world. Well, no, that's how but listen, like I knew this was gonna happen, but I was like, nah, man, don't do this to me. Don't keep doing this Last Jedi BS. I'm just throwing away the lightsaber. Like, yes, the Force is my ally. He's using the Holy Spirit. He looking like space Jesus. And you know what? And this is the thing. I literally told Jay King from this, like, no. It's like, do you think he's getting out of this planet next week? No, I think he's gonna die for our sins next week, man. Like, I just think it's gonna happen. Like, he ain't. Nah, we fail because we fail. He gonna die for our sins next week. No, that's we're not making it.
I will mention the one problem that I do have. What's Bailiff's apprentice?
Shin.
Yeah, I really hope they don't redeem her because I don't like when this happens, when it's that character that's very like confused and then you try to redeem her literally at the last minute. And if she does end up getting redeemed, I'm gonna be like, oh no. You cannot tell me that she was conflicted this entire time. Just no. Because I enjoyed seeing this whole Dark Jedi and Dark Apprentice thing going on since the beginning. I thought it was really, really dope. A concept that I really never thought I would see in live action Star Wars in so long. I love that. But don't redeem the character if they're not meant to be redeemed. And my problem is a lot of projects, or just like TV shows and films in general have been doing that way too much lately. Like you just redeem the character just for just for the point of just redeeming them, but really like their intention, like you have these evil characters who are just like evil and you just want to erase the evil out of them. Like remember the times where like you watch TV shows and movies, you just had good guys and you just had bad guys. Bad guys will always just stay bad. They get defeated. Boom, they're done. The story is done. That was it. Now we're in this era where like every bad guy is trying to get redeemed, like over and over and over again, like to the point just keep them evil, and just like there's two paths: good path, bad path. Keep them on that. Don't try to pull them in. Like there's no point of trying to pull him, and that's why when Ahsoka was talking to Shin saying like we could help you, I'm like, nope, don't do it. Do not do it. Please don't do it.
I have a little bit pushback to that because I think I agree with you that in terms of where characters being redeemed, such as being who they are, like in the Rise of Skywalker, like no, this person, if you're killing these people, you're evil. Just stay evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel that there is a the thing of having more 3-dimensional characters. Like why like villains that see themselves as the good guys, because they have a purpose, they have a drive for something, right? But then with Balin, which is by the way my favorite character to come out of the show to date, and possibly out of Disney Plus Star Wars period. To be honest with you, because he's so complex. And shout out to Ray Stevenson, rest in peace and
Rest in
everything.
peace.
But like the fact that this character, you don't know where his motives are, but you know for a fact that there's something that he's going off a different direction. Now, again, I talked about his lightsaber. The lightsaber color is orange. Orange is not Sith. It represents as just blue represents, as being a Jedi guardian. Orange represents power, which is what he's looking for, right? But again, there was a conversation that he had with Shinhati in a previous episode that talking about the cycle of the Jedi and the Empire, right? That this thing just keep going on again. And
Oh shoot! Did I lose you, Mike? Hang on a second there, folks. We lost Mike.
I don't know why I have these multiple tabs, man. I literally just clicked this side button. I was trying to change the tab, and it just
I was like, hold on, did we just lose you during the middle of your own show?
Yeah, I just did. I just did, man. I'm 6 hour driving. I'm through. No.
That will do it.
But yeah, with this character, he's saying that you're not. He wants to break the cycle, and that on this planet there's power here. Now, again, what does that mean? What power is having on this planet of Peridia? We don't know. We see temples of Night Sisters. It's going to the history of Clone Wars, right? Now, whether is there another world between worlds, I don't know. But again, there's people who having Easter eggs, like looking at his little if you see right here, you can see that he's having his little his wristband, right? It has like some a code or something describing on it, and people were able to dissect it, and it says Han, Luke, Leia, 3PO, and Chewie. That's what it was saying. And I was like, really? What? Now, what did that mean? Now, some people are making stuff out, nothing, I don't know, but you can also tell from his outfit that he's like he has like a green like stone on his belt. People think that might be his kyber crystal, which that might be believable. But again, he had a level of respect for Ahsoka. He wasn't trying to be sinister. He's saying it's a shame to kill her. There's some very few Jedi left. And Thrawn picked it up right the moment he met him. He's like, wait, you are General Balin Skull from the Jedi Order? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, they can die. I'm gonna send y'all whatever. And shout out to Thrawn in this episode. He was, going back. He was just like being tactical and everything. He's saying, no, they can all die here. Our plan is to get the hell out of here. But even then, the line he said to Shin, when he's like, your admiration to would defeat the enemy, whatever, is gonna be your downfall. Right, which is something that Obi-Wan said to Anakin, and that your rage or your determination to actually defeat enemy is what blinds you, right? But yeah, he and then when after he lost or supposedly lost or just got distracted, whatever, he walks away. Where is he going? Like, there's a scene of him just being looking still in this episode, asking before he pans off, and you he's acting, but he's not saying a word. I don't know what's going on, which is why this episode, they need to explain what's going on and not be having this cliffhanger, because it might be an Empire Strike Back cliffhanger. I don't know, but they need to get some explanation, because again, people think, they're gonna retcon the sequels. No, they're not doing that. They're not doing that.
Trust me, part of me thinks are they trying to retcon the sequels? But nah, that damage is already done.
No, because unless they're already, because you already in a new galaxy, which is what. But everything in this episode, in this show, again, it's it's time to, yes, you have some things nostalgia, but you have things that is new. Yeah, but it's based off a foundation what we've seen before, but now further explored. Right, like the Witches of Dathomir, the fact that we have them live action. But but we didn't get them in a movie. We got them in this show. You imagine we got that in the film. The scope, even the way that the show was shot, the cinematography when Thrawn's ship was coming through, everything, instead of with the Force Awakens, all stuff just being this colorful merchandise type of commercial look and everything of Star Wars, right? I, but I will say again, going to Ahsoka, she's back to her roots of again being more joyful and not going head first and everything. I did like the reunion she had with Ezra too, but yeah. Uh, what was it at the end of this episode? I think what was the ending of this episode? Oh yeah, they Ezra and Sabine and stuff are now together and they're about to go into their Jedi ship, and now next is how they're gonna get out of here and try to stop Thrawn. And then we just kind of left from that. Now some people felt this episode kind of disappointing, like saying like, hey, was that it? The fact that that uh, we didn't really see where Balin Skull's going, what his motives are. We still don't know. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, man?
Again, I don't know where Balin Skull is going, but again, he's definitely one of my favorite characters in the entire show. I find him very fascinating. Again, the main threat of this show is Thrawn, and the Night Sister. What's her name? Morgan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have Thrawn. We have Morgan, who's like second fiddle to Thrawn at this moment. So I don't see how this is gonna play out, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it concludes. And who knows where this story goes? Because again, like I said, I didn't watch Rebels. I didn't, of course, like I said, I did get spoiled. So of course, we find out that Ezra. Everyone thought Ezra defeated Thrawn. We all thought Thrawn was defeated, but surprisingly, no, he is not defeated. He's still alive and well. So who knows what the end goal is going to be in the final episode of this show. All I can say is that it feels great to see this scope, this spectacle. It feels like a live action Clone Wars kind of feel, and just even with the lightsaber battles, these are probably like the best lightsaber battles I have seen in a very long time. So I've enjoyed this ride with this show. I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends. I know a lot of people are a little bit critical on the show with just by certain decisions like some of the characters are making, but it is what it is, and I'm looking forward to the finale.
Yeah, me too. And so the finale of Ahsoka can be coming out this Tuesday. Me and Jay King will be having a show on Monday, kind of give our prediction on the finale and everything like that. But be on the lookout for that. Yeah, but Wally brought you in on panel and everything before we end here because it's getting late. And Wally, just like check see what are your thoughts on today's topics and everything.
What's going, Jedi? What's going, Black Wing?
What's going on?
Yeah, man. As always, great show as always, man. Oh man. As far as like how the turmoil of now, see the X-Men, I will say this: the X-Men, that's gonna be the most trickiest one because I swear for God, bro, they better land this one, dog. It has to be a bust for that one. It just has to. As far as the whole slate to the DC. Man, look, I just pray that the way they do that, because they jump in so much storyline and continuity on that beyond imagining. I hope they land however they land, because boy, the amount of pinpointing back to going from jumping the gun to then backing up to storylines, to then jumping up the gun again and everything else. That's going to be interesting to see how this all works out, because boy knows, Lord knows, this is going to be like, as I see this. But I ain't gonna lie, look, Blue Beetle was awesome. I mean, dog, that's literally 8.5 at best. Like that's what I would give it in my opinion. But if Aquaman looks any more good than what Blue Beetle does, especially at the end of this, I only gotta say one thing: no excuses. No excuses coming in on the whole new slate. No excuses. Because boy, that's all I can say, man. This is gonna be good. That's all I can say. But that was damn sure. The Blue Beetle was damn sure a freaking victory.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
Yeah,
real good victory.
yeah, I understand with that, but with like again with the DC universe, my one thing is that I just want us as for James Gunn, just allow him just in terms of actually develop this into a way that's going to be of of a good quality, and just start from there. Again, when he gave that slate of the DC universe and everything, that was big promises and everything like that. But again, I'll believe it when I see it, because we've had that type of presentation thing before. If you were old enough to remember, there was a time right before Batman vs Superman came out that you had Jeff Johns and Kevin Smith going talking about this whole slate.
Oh, I remember that night.
Remember
I
that?
remember that special. Yep.
Remember that special they had and everything, talking about that? All talking about Green Lantern and everything, and then side and everything like that. Where's our Green Lantern in the DC? No, he's on the Snyder cut. Oh wait, no, in the deleted scene and everything. Nah, I remember that. So good presentation, James. But it's not. This is not on you, but it's from the actual establishment that have issue with. But again, with what they're going with the current state of DC Universe, of him saying that, listen, Amanda Waller is still staying, Sholo is still staying, John Cena is still staying. I'm okay with that. But I'm also very observant. He did not mention anyone. He did not mention Ezra. He did not mention Ezra at all. He did not mention Gal Gadot. He didn't mention Jason Momoa, even though we know he had conversation and he's coming back in some form or fashion. But when it comes to Wonder Woman, nope, all stuff like that. And listen, I know a lot of people can be butthurt, saying not having Henry Cavill and stuff. I know, like
I'm not butthurt about that one.
Yeah, I just know, but some people like
Emotional damage.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, so so some people still have that, so it's okay. It's okay, it's okay that you still can process, the fact that Henry Cavill's not coming back. But I still think there's a form he still can come back as a variant, or if possible, let's say do an Elseworld Kingdom Come storyline. The older that Henry Cavill gets, the better he is for that role. It'd be great. I'd love to see a live action Kingdom Come. But
they do got the DC Elseworld, so hey, you never know.
I mean, yeah, Kingdom Come is the Elseworld. It is under the Elseworld banner, so
right, and you can get that one property. I think Zack Snyder could do. You want to make these people like gods? Here you go. Like seriously, but don't change it. Just make everything, do your mimic like of the comic book panels and everything like that. Because I actually liked the Zack Snyder's Watchmen. I don't know about everybody else, but I actually enjoyed it.
No, the Watchmen's decent.
Yeah, but even though I like the Lindelof show way better, and stuff like that. But yeah. But that's no here or there, though. But again, that concludes in terms of topics we got covered here this week. We know we're going to still get some more updates going into Monday, because we have the actors are scheduled to, or SAG-AFTRA is scheduled to be dropping information about their conversation with the studios on Monday. And that'll be hopefully the beginning, now that they have some type of template in terms of the contract that the WGA has had with their in terms of residuals, and also with AI in terms of their performances and stuff like that. So at least to get the ball rolling. But again, WGA strike is officially over, but they are still going to pick your lines, for the SAG strike. Also, the motor industry going on strike as well at simultaneously, and the video game industry is about to go on strike as well. So, so a whole bunch of things gonna be happening again right before Spider-Man 2.
I mean, thankfully, Spider-Man 2 is not going to be affected by the releases, but the Wolverine game is maybe affected by it though, unfortunately.
Yeah, that we still have not got anything about over almost 2 years. We haven't got nothing.
I haven't heard nothing about no Wolverine game.
I just,
The moment you mentioned, I'm like, huh?
I guess Insomniac has to finish it. Wait till the promotional dies down and the hype dies down for Spider-Man 2. Then they could start putting in promotions for Wolverine, or if they, they just announced it. But anyway,
yeah. But again, this is about to hopefully, this whole thing is about to be over, and then we can get back to our favorite films and stuff like that, going back into production and everything like that. So, but y'all, I don't want to keep you guys up. I know I got church tomorrow. I just want to thank Blackwing just for being a co-host. Hopefully not the last time. But just saying appreciate you, man. For coming up here. I just literally just got off my car from driving here, and it's like I gotta be consistent and stuff. But thank you, man.
and no problem. And I know I wasn't able to put my socials in the chat, but if you guys want to, you guys can follow. Find my YouTube channel, Blackwing 2040. I just go by Blackwing here, but you can follow YouTube channels, Blackwing 2040. You can, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and also follow me on TikTok and Twitch. I'm also on Twitch. I do sometimes I do gaming streams from time to time. I'm slowly getting back into that. And I still do commentary videos with on the DC animated universe. Slowly getting back into that because I just put that project on hold because in support of the strikes. So since the strikes have been lifted, that project is going to start slowly coming back. I just got to reach out to my co-host to let them know we got the green light. We can get back on this because literally the year is almost over and we're still in the middle of Superman the animated series. We haven't even gotten to the world's finest episode yet. So
yeah. I know you and I will be talking about the Justice League and stuff like that. I probably want to try to do covering videos, reviewing older content of DC animated properties and stuff like that. So I'll probably do review of Justice League, Flashpoint Paradox, other stuff like that. In Static Shock, I'll go over, cover that as well. But yeah, man, we'll talk.
Yeah.
But Wally, man, thank you, man. I just want to see where can people find you?
Me, usually multiple places. I mean, for the time being, I'm not up and ready to do anything right now, but soon enough I will be. Just getting out the kinks of everything else, but when it does come, to form, it'll be on the Wallyverse for sure. On the other side, it'll also be on the weekly drop. As far as just simple movie reactions.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
But any type of links or anything, just let me know, and I'll be putting them in the chat, or you can also promote it just here when you come by on the channel and stuff.
Yeah.
And any content creator that showed up today in the chat, shout out to Information Man, other folks like that, Team Fatty up in the building. Thank you guys for stopping by. Appreciate it. But yeah, I'll give you guys updates on uploads coming very soon. I got interviews I've done with the African American Film Critic Association. So I'll be dropping that going into October. We got Pet Cemetery Bloodline, which is going to be coming on Paramount Plus. We got Loki. Loki's coming on Thursdays, and I'll be doing a review for that as well, as along with Gen V and going into finale of Ahsoka and stuff like that. So
that's crazy. Yeah. Ahsoka ends on Tuesday, and Loki starts right up on Thursday. I'm like, damn, no time, no room to breathe.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good good week of content. So
final quarter of the year, you got to end off strong.
Yes, and going to my birthday, October. Shout out to Libra Gang. But yeah, y'all. Till next time, this is Jedi Mike 7, and we'll see y'all next video. Peace. We are out.
Is there anything you want the fans to know, or any last thing you want to say to them before we get to see this series tonight?
This is where the fun begins.